Exactly.
Have you had a good summer?
Yeah. Yeah. Cloud, God.
Somewhere out in the lake, you know, kind of like what it is.
Oh. Yeah.
Probably easier.
That's when you earn your money. Used to think.
So that's what we're, so this is kind of first step. Okay, answer some of the other questions before we go.
Come to the council.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Woefully. You try to raise it, people.
George said that Jeff's out of town. I mean, it's nice that George,
Yeah, I
Jeff
spend
is
so much
Need the
time
agenda.
with this stuff. And we have a cell phone.
Well,
Yes.
that was the other thing I was said. I talked to George, I don't know which, maybe
Yeah, the original.
No,
one, that one.
Oh, you're
on here.
I have not been up.
Fire. I was on the.
Where's Jeff? Not something.
What's that?
Fires.
Oh, yeah, I was on that territory. Wow.
I didn't hand it out for me.
Yeah, there's no traffic my first term. And plan. And Diane wanted to change. I said, sure. All right.
That, I made enough for everybody, I didn't make enough for the other one. Most of it put on top,
It's always something.
I think, so you want to knock that to the bottom.
It's always something. It's the only reason.
But we ought to be getting double what we can.
Yeah, it is. Commissioners. I think. You know that?
Yeah.
No, I think not. I'm pretty sure, I think 20, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 20, so maybe 22.
We should be double what we are.
Yeah. No, that's just.
We continue.
Ran into Don last weekend. I haven't seen Don for a long time.
But it will be there, it's just the weather.
He had just got back. DJ's kind of riding off to the full sense.
No.
So where's that big George? Gonna have to run the whole show yourself.
Well, we have two guys, but it makes me a little more keep an eye on that.
Do you have any?
He just, I'm gonna probably, well, I was mentioning too, but I'll be, yeah. And I might as well.
Is everybody ready to begin?
I think so. We can get the press to stop talking.
Hey, there's a lot going on. I will now officially call this meeting to order. I welcome the press. Our first item on the agenda is our Pledge of Allegiance. All rise, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on the, next item on the agenda, I should say, is the approval of minutes from the last meeting. You should all have gotten a copy of the minutes in your board pack. Are there any additions, changes, corrections to those minutes?
I didn't see any, did you?
I'll entertain a motion.
We are, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Mr. Clemens makes a motion to approve.
Second.
And Mr. Snodgrass, second. Further discussion? I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carries. All right. Next item is the approval of claims. Start at the top and work our way down.
We have a few. Sands office equipment was to replace the scanner that broke. the total was $5,981.43, but that's being split between Redevelopment Commission and my office, budget. That's split right in half, and see it on the claim, I think it was 2990.71 out of my office budget, and then 2990.72 out of redevelopment. Self-construction, $110,081.96 is last final payment for the Buffalo Street infrastructure project. $5,000 from Troyer Group is for the North Point design. The $2,035 from Troyer is for 300 North work. RAI redevelopment is annual dues for us to belong to the redevelopment organization for Indiana. $7,324.64 for Westler Engineering is for ongoing engineering for the Airport Industrial Park Sewer Project. $67,000 to OrthoWorks is our agreement with OrthoWorks, 5-year agreement with OrthoWorks. $13,605 to Graycraft is for transferring that Ivy Tech sign that we will be putting if you haven't been out there, I know they're working on it. We're gonna have the Tech Park sign at the entrance of 30 and Sylvia's Crossing. The $13,605 is a part of the fee, or the cost to move the Ivy Tech sign that's down there to the new location on Polk Drive. Petro Family LLC, $16,240 is for the right-of-way purchase for the roundabout on 300 North. $9,597.50 is for A&Z Engineer, who is working on the preliminary design for US 30 and Sylvia's Crossing. Westler Engineering, the one we just added, $5,112 is for ongoing services for the Airport Industrial Park Sanitary Sewer Project.
Can you back up just a second to the Petro Family LLC?
Yes,
That's just for the right-of-way.
that's correct.
And I couldn't tell that from the appraiser's calculation.
It's the average of the
20
two appraisals.
I guess I didn't see the other.
Yeah, there's 2 pages.
The first one, and I guess I was surprised by this, the appraisal for the ground is, let's see, I wrote that down $157,000 per acre.
Yep.
People actually paying that for the ground out there, or?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Well, let me put it this way, yes, obviously. So it would be based on the appraisals of like properties, right? So it's a
Right.
appraisal analysis done by the appraiser. So he would go through the different like properties, pluses and minuses, and that's the value he's given. Just trying to find that. The thing you run in with right-of-way is, this is pretty typical. The issue you run into with right-of-way is that it's such a small amount, or it seems like such a small amount.
Well, wait a minute, what's the 8,900?
That's the second appraisal.
There's a huge difference between those two. That's why,
Yeah, oh, I understand.
it bothers me that, one's 23,000 and 25,000, and the other's 32,000. I don't understand that. And that's-
Yeah, usually there's not that big of a gap, it seems like, but
It's
probably.
Are you guys comfortable with that? I mean, I'm just calling the question here more than anything. I'm not familiar with the value of real estates out there, and you guys probably deal with that more. I'm sure Clemens buys and sells that all the time.
Well, it is valuable real estate, and usually it comes off the frontage, right?
That's the problem, yeah.
So,
But it creates new frontage.
Well, the issue you run into is when you deal with right-of-way purchasing and taking, from what I've seen, this is pretty, it's right where it's usually at. It's always higher. I mean, I can tell you, I've paid $10,000 for 50 square feet.
Is there typically a gap like that large in one to the
It can be, you know, when we did Husky Trail, that was, no, I want to be somewhat cautious how I put this. I asked the same thing of the engineers because it seemed to me that one appraiser was way up here and one appraiser was way down here, and I said, well, why can't we get the appraiser that's way down here appraising all of them? Get rid of that guy. But, you know, that's the reality.
Is it that subjective?
It can't, no, you know, I think it's, you get into, when you get into right-of-way takings, you get into loss and damages.
Yeah, I
And that's
can
the
see that.
problem.
I can see that.
That's the problem. You know, some people will look at it and say, well, you're taking 100 square feet from them on a parcel that's, you know, gonna have $10 million development on it. How do you value that?
Yeah. But you're comfortable with it?
This is very typical. If anything, it's very reasonable.
And, you know, the other thing sometimes I come back to, I don't know that, you know, I'm not an appraiser, I'm not a developer. A number like that seems kind of big, but when you look at the overall cost of the project, of what we're doing out there, this is pretty minuscule.
Yeah, it's
And
a $2 million.
it gives us
I
what we
understand
want.
that, but it's double the value from one to the other. Really, guys?
You mean the
Really?
appraisers? Yeah.
Yeah.
The one seems kind of low to me, really. So the one does seem high, but on the other hand, I think the one seems low for that, because
Okay.
that's a little.
I just want to make sure you
Little
guys
bit of
are
dirt.
comfortable with that, because I, like you, I'm not a dealer in real estate, but it's, from a common sense standpoint, it seems like appraisals ought to be a little closer than that.
That's why you get two, I guess. At least we didn't have to pay the high amount.
And how much, do you remember how much we paid for that, for those appraisals?
Yes, I think one was 600, 750, somewhere in that range, and the other one was, I think, 1,500.
Yeah, so we already paid a couple thousand for appraisals, you know. It's a bummer to, so you average those out, $1,000 for the appraisal to buy something. The one said 6,000, 7,000, you know. So when you start thinking about multiple appraisals, you're getting money too.
For 0.15 acres.
Yeah,
We
Yeah.
paid $157,000 for .025 acres when we did Parker Street. For damages. And it was a parking lot. But it was on Center Street and Parker Street. So I understand what you're saying, but when you've seen the numbers I've seen, this is reasonable.
Okay. I just want to make sure everybody is comfortable.
well,
with
that's a
that.
good question. About the, especially the difference.
What would be the possibility of getting a third appraisal?
It would likely result in it being higher. That's my personal opinion.
Okay.
And very difficult to get a third party to.
Oh, I could get another one, and would be pay another $1,500, $2,000 for the appraisal, and it would probably be higher.
Okay.
I move that the claims be approved as presented.
Okay, we have a motion to approve as presented.
I'll second that.
Mr. Clemens seconds. Any further discussion?
Thanks for bringing it up.
No.
Good point of conversation.
As I said, I just wanted to make sure everybody's comfortable with that. All right, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay.
Jeremy, clarification on the Sands office equipment. If I recall right, were you getting a new piece of equipment?
Yes,
Okay.
we replaced,
And today I thought you just said you were getting it repaired.
well, we replaced it. Yeah, so-
replaced, okay. That's what I thought we
Yeah,
had
but
agreed.
If you recall at the last meeting, we talked about, he looked at repair versus buy, and the
Right.
cost was so close, we decided to go ahead
Replace,
with the
yeah.
purchase.
And maybe you said replace, and I heard.
No, I probably did. I just said that because the equipment we were putting it on was originally a scanner printer, and it had all the equipment attached to it. So you can buy the separate units and have them attached, but because we already had the equipment, we were just taking off the old scanner and replacing the new scanner on the pedestal that was a part of the whole system. Then it has a computer that runs the scanner and the printer. So I guess we were repairing the unit as a whole, but we were wholly replacing the scanner.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And you need the equipment to
Yeah.
do the job. Thank you.
Okay. New business. Do we have any?
The only thing I had, I just passed out was, like your approval, to have Peerless Midwest, drill a test well, and the test well will be serviceable to install the actual well once we test it and make sure, and this is for the Buffalo Street Plaza project. It will operate the fountain portion of the plaza. So the first thing we need to do is drill the well, make sure the pressure's there, and test the water so we know what we need to do to treat it. But everything that they're doing, they'll be able to drop the well in once it's a go and we do the plaza project and we install the fountain. So it's not like we're paying for something and getting nothing. It will be there encased, ready to install once we know where our pressure's at and water quality and what we need to do to treat it.
Will the well be available for other uses in the area? No. Okay.
No, the intent here is we are not operating this as potable water. So this will be a fountain. We're not trying to operate a public water plant.
Jeremy, you mentioned pressure twice, just now. What I'm reading into that is, it's like an artesian well, it will be under its own pressure, there won't be a pump involved?
Well, there'll be a pump, but the pump has to be able to supply the pressure necessary to operate the fountain heads.
Okay,
And that's
so there
what we
will
need
be
to
a
test.
pump.
There'll probably end up being two pumps. There'll probably be a pump from the well into the water treatment system, and then a pump juicing the pressure back up to operate the fountain. We've discussed that quite a bit, and that's probably the logical way to go. Rather than trying to get the pressure coming out of the well, go through the system, to hit the water fountains, we'll probably pump the water out and then have to put up another pump in after the treatment portion to make sure we have the pressure for the fountain. But,
Will the water just keep recycling within the fountain?
nope,
No,
it's gonna go out.
okay.
If you do a recirculation system, then that gets back into the potable water issue.
Okay,
You have to be certified like a pool. If we do a non-recirculating system, then you don't get into the pool requirements. You still have to test the water, but you're not testing it as if it's a public pool where people are swimming. It's different testing requirements.
Okay, could somebody though
Yes,
get in there?
yep. Be no different than our fountains down, just south of the Zimmer headquarters as you enter Center Park. The little bubbly fountains they have there, same premise. You can stick your hands in there, play whatever, but it's not operated as a pool.
Where's that water go once into the,
Just leaves the system. Goes into a drain, storm drain.
to a storm drain, okay. So that,
This would be the same thing.
just
It would
curious. how that-
come up and there would be a storm drain, it would go into the storm drain.
About
Having that-
next, we'll get complaints about we're not contributing to the flooding.
What's the possibility if somebody got in there and got sick?
Shouldn't I mean, it would be fall under our insurance policy like anything else.
Okay, we're insured, but we don't wanna make people sick.
No, there's testing requirements, but there's a big difference between testing for a public pool and testing for a fountain. I understand what you're saying, but there's still testing, will still be testing, but it's not a pool certification testing. If that makes sense.
Okay, so how are we gonna notify people? Will there be signs there that this is,
Don't drink Are you saying we should purify it?
no, I'm not saying
No,
that,
I'm just, I think,
I'm just saying,
Purify
kids
it,
will
bottle
be
it.
kids, adults will be adults, it gets
We
hot,
will
they'll get in it.
we will be treating the water, so there'll be a treatment system. But because we're not operating a public pool, we don't have to have the pool certification,
Okay,
if that makes sense.
okay.
So our intent is to treat the water as if,
Like a soft water system?
yes, but we're not gonna have a sign that says, please come drink the water, right?
But you're not gonna have a sign that says, please don't drink the water.
No. We might, I don't know. We'll have to have that discussion, I guess.
That's what we're.
No, you make up a good point. Maybe we do need to put a sign that says, don't drink the water.
I mean, there'll be birds probably dropping in it, you can't
That-
stop that,
that's the
so it's
issue.
gonna be.
That's the issue when, and that goes back to the circulation system, right, recirc system. It's because of the outside nature of the water. The water itself coming out of the fountain is gonna be treated like water coming out of your house. The problem is, once it hits the ground, there's no way for us to control that. If you operate a pool and you're recirculating that water, you have to control that. Because now the water that's recirculating coming back up out of the fountain hit the ground. The water we're pumping out of the fountain isn't gonna hit the ground. So if you're running around licking water off the ground, then you have a problem. But the water coming out of the fountain is not going to be the issue. If that makes sense.
And this fountain will require a 6-inch well,
Yes.
nothing
To
smaller.
get the pressure.
To get the pressure.
And you said there's nobody locally that could do this.
This was who was recommended to us based on the fountain company and what they need to install the fountains, pressure-wise. And meeting with them and talking to them about what they've done, I mean, it makes sense that we go with someone who's installed these specifically for this type of use. I know there's been a lot of issues, and we want to try to avoid that in the future, so we get a good product in the end.
So Jeremy, not to beat a dead horse, I just want to understand, we're not using Indiana American water for this.
We're not.
Okay, we're pumping water up out of the ground, we're sort of kind of filtering it, we're
Yep.
running it through a fountain, it's gonna come down and go into the storm drain.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
We looked at 3 systems, a recirculating system, Indiana American Water, or us installing a fountain. After looking at all those 3 systems, it came back to us that the well was the best option for us, long-term cost-wise.
As opposed to just pulling it out of the lake?
The problem you have with the lake is you're putting a pump out in the middle of the lake. If it gets clogged, then someone's gotta go out there and unclog it, right?
Probably someone in building and plan.
Yeah, exactly. We'll put on our scuba diving gear and go out there. I'm not certified in scuba diving, but that's what I need to do. But the point being is, yeah, that there was inherent issues with going
I
out into
see.
the lake.
Okay.
Now, I think the irrigation system that the park runs draws from the lake, I think.
Could that
But
water,
in the
this is-
irrigation system, you're not dealing with the freezing and thawing and
They're
that
not,
kind of
yeah,
stuff.
they shut it off and blow it out in the winter. So this will be the same thing. The only difference
You're gonna shut it
is,
down in the winter.
if the irrigation system doesn't work on a Monday, it's not the end of the world. When your $200,000 fountain doesn't work on a Monday, probably not gonna be perceived too well.
Do you need approval on this, or?
Yes, just need you to approve them to do the work so they can get started.
I have another question, and I'm sure you guys have thought of all this stuff. Is there any other use for that water rather than to dump it down into the storm sewer? Could you use it for sprinkling the park or, you know, using that water for other purposes?
Honestly, maybe. I mean, so if something were to happen in the future, it'd be fairly easy for the Parks Department to maybe put in a container system to use that for. At this point, they already pump out of the lake, their system is working, but if for some reason it wasn't working, it would be fairly easy for them to tie into this system to
Yeah.
irrigate, to use it for
Might be
irrigation.
worth a consideration down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, once we have that well, I mean, we can, it's not that we couldn't do other things with it, the only
Yeah.
issue we would have would be making sure we maintain the pressure we need to operate the fountain, right? So that well could be used for, it could be used, they could build an irrigation system off the well.
I was gonna say, you just put it like into a cistern and pump it out of the cistern.
Yeah.
Maybe not. If it's treated, it depends on the chemical
True.
they use to treat.
Sure.
Uh,
I was just off the
put it
top
on
of
the-
my head.
Put that on the grass and kills it.
Yeah.
We have another.
That's true, I mean, in all honesty, it'll be we're hoping it'll be treated, like you would treat your house for. The thing we think is, it's gonna have iron in it probably, which means that if you don't treat the iron, then the fountain plaza will get that rust color to it.
Iron and calcium both.
And potential
Problems.
calcium. So those are the two things we would look at. So I don't think that I don't think we're gonna end up chlorinating or anything of that nature. But then again, I don't know until we do the testing, and that's what this is gonna,
Yeah.
it's gonna provide the water testing and the pressure testing so that we can make those adjustments.
Okay.
Okay. We'll entertain a motion to approve this then, for Peerless Midwest to, samples and drill well and maintain the pressure for a total of $22,100, right?
So moved.
Mr. Clemens makes a motion,
I'll
Mike
second.
seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are approved. That, make sure that's entered in the.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, documents for the meeting, thank you.
Outside of that, I can just give you kind of an update of some of the projects we have going on. Obviously, we have two other projects that have yet to start this year that are going to get started. North Point Drive will be starting here in this week or next week, I believe, is what they were shooting for. And then the 300 North project will start in the first week of September. Somewhere around there, they'll start work on that project. So those are the two projects we still have out there that we're anticipating start here pretty soon. I know they're getting a late start to them this year, but they're busy. Market Street's under construction,
Yes, it is.
Has been.
has been. Yeah,
For how much longer? October?
end of October, early November. Yeah. They'll be substantially complete somewhere around there. Both of the North Point and the 300 North project, as of right now, they have them being completed before the end of the year. So they have a very short window to get that work done, but that's their plan, to get it done. North Point Drive will be fairly easy. There's one section that'll be a full replacement. Most of it'll be a mill and fill with new curbs and sidewalks, so that project won't be too hard to complete. 300 North, that's a big project, so they'll have a lot of work to do in a very short period of time. With the roundabout and everything, there's a lot of concrete, asphalt, storm pipe. I mean, it's a lot of work.
Are we only bonded for 15,000?
Yes,
Have we checked into that for a long, is that pretty
that's a
typical
state
for?
statute.
It is.
Yes, the state requires that each redevelopment commission member be bonded for $15,000.
15? Okay.
I have no idea where they came up with that.
Yeah,
Just
that's
what
not
the state
that
requirement
much. I mean,
is.
if we made some kind of grievous error where we'd face litigation.
Did you say we?
We,
Yes.
well, it naturally would fall into the president and the vice president, of course.
Yeah.
We'd be-
We'll visit you in jail.
Yes, that's right, in jail, where there is beer water. So,
Yes.
no, I just thought, because as you know, the amounts go up and then, I think it's $100 policy. It's not much more to double that, but. that's-
It's not, but this state
And-
statute requires that each redevelopment commission member be bonded for that.
No more, no less.
That's what it says, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Okay.
After the 15, we're on our own.
Yeah.
Watch our.
So only make a 14,999
Can't make
mistake.
any mistakes.
We get sued for 10 million, we're toast. Don't print that.
So that's kind of where we're at with the projects. Budgets, I'm presenting the budgets to the council tonight,
Yeah.
so.
Hopefully they'll approve.
Not tonight.
Not
Yeah.
tonight, oh, no, that's not gonna, okay.
He just presents
That's
tonight.
present and then next.
September.
I think it's
September.
September, yeah. I think they got a month or so before they go through all of them, and then any rate, look at the rate, AB, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of work cut out for them in the next month and a half.
Okay.
Finally making that fat salary.
Oh, boy, yeah, we are.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right.
Make a motion to
Oh,
adjourn?
the next meeting is September 9th. It is not because of a holiday, so it falls on the second Monday, I believe.
Correct.
Yeah,
Oh,
so just a reminder.
Okay.
So check your calendars, make sure you have it on the second Monday.
Okay.
September 9th.
Yep.
Thank you. Thanks for the reminder. Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Here, a second. Mr. Clemens seconds. All in favor, say aye. We are adjourned. Thank you, members of the press, for attending and she can add that.
Congratulations to Dan for his promotion.
You got a promotion? All right.
Promotion.
It's a blessing.